We have a negotiation going on right now with the Democrats that could lead to very good things.
What kind of
and I'm talking about good things with regard to health care.
Bloomberg opening trade anchor Kriti Gupta joins me now with the latest. And Kriti, clearly the president's putting pressure on the Democrats here. But behind the scenes, does it look like they're actually closer to a breakdown of the shutdown?
I mean, the pressure is certainly ramping up, and no one can quite tell what the conversations are happening behind the scenes. Chuck Schumer, for example, the Senate Majority Leader for the Democrats, he's kind of the voice of the Democrats, who's really built up a reputation over the years of always caving before the shutdown. He makes the argument this time is different. He says that it's not clear to him that President Trump is true at his word, but of course reiterates the message that if he is, they are more than willing to negotiate. This is really crucial because it's such a sticking point for Democrats. This was going to be a conversation, if not now, then again in November or December, when the proposed resolution funding or short-term funding bill, where the money was going to run out eventually. So before the end of the year, we were going to have this exact conversation. The Democrats have just chosen to have it now instead of later. What Donald Trump has in mind, though, is a different question. We know Republicans have already been facing a lot of the squeeze from their own constituents who are facing those rising health care costs, specifically in rural communities. So this might actually be an interesting moment where the Democratic, or what's associated as a Democratic cause, gets bipartisan support.
OK, really interesting. And meanwhile, on tariffs, the president's saying that those 25% duties on medium and heavy duty trucks is actually going to kick in on November the 1st, so a bit later than we had expected. Just walk us through the European impact for the firms like Volvo and Daimler at the Open.
Well, it's really fascinating because he's warned about this for quite some time. So when it comes to the actual hit or pricing this in, one would argue that this has been priced in since this was announced over the summer initially. The date is a little bit irrelevant here in terms of the fact that it is viewed as a moving target. I think what's important to keep in mind when it comes to the trucking business is you don't just want to look at European exposure to the United States, but European exposure to Mexico, European exposure to Canada as well, because, of course, that USMCA agreement, a lot of those long-haul trucking where the imports would show up is also related to other sorts of goods, things like importing lumber into the United States from various places, importing cars from various places, from the Mexican supply chain, from the Canadian supply chain into the United States. So a lot of questions still about whether or not this is something that will actually stick by November 1st. But in terms of market reaction today, some would argue it's already priced in.